Welcome into the Legislative Lounge. I am your host, Natebige, with my co-host, Professor Mike. How are we doing?
It's a beautiful day in Arizona.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
yes.
And it's rainy here in Texas. I really don't like it. I'm getting sick of this rain, man, honestly. But yeah, so we got a lot of important things coming up on this week that is, vital to honestly the outcome of elections going forward into the future. And one of them, we're going to start off with the main topic tonight, is does the fate of the nation lie in the hands of Wisconsin? More specifically, the election surrounding the Supreme Court in Wisconsin. Mike, what do you know about this?
I don't know a lot about it, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, no,
I've
that's
been
fine. A
I've
lot
been
of
busy
people
doing
don't,
some
but I mean,
constitutional
how
reading.
vital it is it that it's really important. I think there's a lag in between me and you, man, just so that you're aware. It'll catch up. But
But that's fine.
but when it comes to the Supreme Court, this is a swing state. So everybody knows that right off the bat, Wisconsin is a vital state to win in the presidential election in general, right? And from the districting as it is right now, it's pretty even, right? The only and the two individuals that are running for a seat on the Supreme Court is Brad Schmiegel and Susan Crawford. Susan Crawford is an individual that's currently she's an American lawyer and a journalist from Madison, Wisconsin. She's a Wisconsin Circuit Court judge currently for Dane County since 2018. And she's been a chief legal counsel for Wisconsin Governor Jim Dole and served as administrator of the Office of Enforcement and Science in the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. I mean, she's got a litany of background in law. She's got her education from Lawrence University, her BA, her MA from Indiana University in Bloomington, and then has her JD from the University of Iowa. So she's definitely got a background. She is the Democrat-backed candidate for this seat. And then her opponent, Brad Schmiegel, is an individual. He's an American attorney, judge, and he's part of the Republican Party. He's out of Waukesha County. Is what I pronounced that correctly. He is also a Wisconsin Circuit Court judge out of that same county and has been there since 2019. He previously served as the 44th Attorney General of Wisconsin as well from 2015 to 2019 and served as a district attorney for that county from 07 to 2015. So he definitely has a background as well. He got his BA from University of Wisconsin Milwaukee, and then he got his JD from the University of Wisconsin at Madison. So definitely got a good lineup between the two of them here. So, but the problem though between the two is that Ms. Crawford has openly admitted through numerous conversations that if elected, she's going to push for the redistricting of the congressional map of Wisconsin, which means that because she is backed by specific individuals, i.e., the guy in the photo, they're going to be redistricting Wisconsin to effectively alter the outcome of elections in favor of the Democrats for the years to come. Mike, I think we lost Mike. Yeah, I think we did lose him. Anyways, so this is a vital thing because a lot of people want to ask, what it has to do with, congressional maps district out who you're voting for in Congress, essentially. And when it's district in a specific manner, they will redline and move particular areas of the map to make it to where each particular area has a dominant Democrat or Republican, because both sides honestly do it, to make it more favorable in those particular counties, which means that in each one of those counties or districts, your representative will particularly lean who the majority of voters in that district are. So if they redistrict it to make it more favorable, not only will they make it easier for the Democrats to win the general election for the president, they'll make it to where they can win more seats easily in the House of Representatives as well. Because when the population is more district to the individuals that are registered as Democrat, then that makes it easier for them to win those particular districts. Mike, you back with us now?
Yeah, there's a pretty bad windstorm going on. I think it's screwing my Wi-Fi.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. How much of that did you hear?
Um, I heard I heard a little bit of it,
So
but I
Susan
think I
Crawford,
think it's yeah, I think it's incredibly important for Wisconsians, or what do you call them, Wisconsinites?
yeah, something like that. Yeah, I believe that's how they're officially called. Something like
I
that.
think it's incredibly important for the people in Wisconsin to go out and stick by the Constitution and get the right people elected. We definitely don't
Right.
need Wisconsin swinging blue. If that makes sense.
I mean, it's already blue enough. I mean, you got, you know, Madison, you've got all the Milwaukees of Wisconsin, these mega, it's like the equivalency here in I'm sorry, Texas of like
Where
Dallas,
are you at?
Austin, Houston. I know, I was gonna say Michigan. I mean, I go over Michigan, you got Grand Rapids, Flint, Detroit, so it's just those heavily populated areas. But the problem is the outliers, right? You
Mhm.
have the outliers even in Michigan, Texas, and Wisconsin where they're district in a way where it can allow them to have proper representation because it's not too heavy one way or the other. So when you get into areas like the majority of Texas, right, for instance, is red. It's because you got a lot of these small town districts where it's going to have a more of a conservative viewpoint, which typically Republicans are more conservative rather than liberal via the Democrats, right? So you
Right.
go into other areas like Houston. Houston's a massive area with a population density of over 2 million people. So they got several different districts, but because there's so many people that are like-minded in Houston, it's hard for a Republican or conservative in general to win that particular area. So redistricting it in a particular manner can eliminate some areas because if you've ever looked at a district map, they are wonky. It's not like little squares or circles. Sometimes they are spidered out in the most random ways. I mean, if you want an example, take a look at some of the districts just in Fort Bend County, which is where I am in Texas. It makes no sense. I have
Yeah,
no idea how they're doing. I mean,
take a
there's
take a
like
look at the congressional districts just in Arizona.
there's like little slivers in particular areas that'll wrap around something, then it'll get into a big area, and it's like it makes no sense. So it's very vital that everybody in Wisconsin, if you have a friend and you're paying attention to this, you have a friend that's in Wisconsin or know somebody from Wisconsin, please tell them to get out and vote tomorrow. The election starts tomorrow and go
Mhm.
out and vote for, obviously we're going to advocate for the more conservative person. We're not saying vote Republican or vote Democrat. Vote more so the conservative, the people that want to conserve the Constitution and make elections fair because that's what Brad Smeagol is. That's who he is. If you take a look into his platform, he's through and through a constitutionalist, a conservative by nature, and he's part of the Republican Party.
100%. I mean, there's we see a lot of unconstitutional actions going along with judges these days, and we need more conservative judges that actually know the Constitution and apply the Constitution as written, and not try to interpret something that is not there.
Right, absolutely. And that's why you keep seeing all of these, like when it comes to the circuit courts and whatnot, that's why it's vital to make sure that these judges, especially the Supreme Court judges in each state, are what you want them to be, because then you start to see a lot of these challenges, like what Donald Trump is seeing in the courts right now regarding his whole, the USAID. I mean, there's a litany of different things that he's being challenged on by these lower courts. So making sure Supreme Courts in those states are on the right side of the Constitution is absolutely vital to understanding why it makes it easier for the president to do what he needs to do.
100%. Speaking of Donald Trump for a second here, the left is losing their minds right now over this guy. and it's because he's been talking. He's made a few comments about running a third term.
Oh,
Now, I want your quick thoughts on this.
all
What do
right.
you think about a Donald Trump third term?
I mean, an 84-year-old. I mean, he's gonna be about 84 years old by the time he assumes office on the third time. Let's say he does. He's allowed. He finds some loophole, or they change the Constitution, or
I,
whatever.
I'll get into that part. I just want
Oh,
your
I know.
thoughts.
I know there's a loophole. I know what it is, but I want you to say it for everybody else. But like, let's say he does figure it out, right? I mean, an 84, almost 85-year-old Donald Trump in presidency. I mean, these next 4 years are going to be rough on him physically, mentally, So I don't know if I would, like me personally, I've always taken the stance. I think that term limits on any position is absolutely unconstitutional. It takes the right of us away from choosing our representatives. So, but I've always called out Congress about not having term limits, but yet they're the ones that originally put term limits on the president, and I wonder why.
Yep. So, as far as Donald Trump getting a third term, there's three ways that he could essentially do it, and one is more realistic than the other two. So, the first way is to introduce a new constitutional amendment.
Right.
That's not going to happen. We do not have the numbers in the House or the Senate to do such an act. The next way, now, according to the 22nd Amendment, a president can only serve 2 terms. That amendment was passed shortly after FDR's death, Franklin Delano Roosevelt,
Right.
because
Because
he
he served
served 4 terms,
4 terms. Yeah.
like 3.5.
Yeah.
Um,
He was
but
elected to 4 terms. Let's put it that
yeah,
way.
so Congress decided to be like, nope, we're not doing it anymore, and we're nipping that in the butt, and we're doing this 22nd Amendment. So what Donald Trump could do is before his 2-year mark of this term, he passes the buck off to JD Vance
Mm-hmm.
and he
Mm-hmm.
steps down. And JD Vance runs the rest of the term and Donald Trump can run a third term. I don't see that as realistic. What I do see realistic is this way. All somebody has to do is challenge the constitutionality of the 22nd Amendment. We have a conservative majority in the Supreme Court. And when the founders drafted the United States Constitution, when there was deliberation between the Anti-Federalists and the Federalists, it was all on the basis of equality of the branches. No branch was supposed to be above the other. It was supposed to
Right.
be balanced. Now, when you had the introduction and ratification of the 26th Amendment, that created a limitation on one branch. Now, the other two branches do not have that same limitation. The Article 3 judges are lifetime appointments by the president, and then the legislative branch are elected by the people, and they don't have term limits either. You have 100-year-old dinosaurs like Joe Biden, who's a walking corpse, who has been in there forever. Nancy Pelosi, who has been in there forever. Maxine Waters. You have these people that have been in there forever, who
Mm-hmm.
basically die in office or appear to be dead. And so you have a limitation on the executive branch, but not the legislative or the judiciary branch.
Mm.
That is a constitutional imbalance. That is what makes it unconstitutional. That can get challenged, and then that amendment could be wiped by the Supreme Court.
Absolutely. I mean, I honestly, like I say, I've always, and I used to be an individual that was, oh, term limits, term limits, term limits. And I come to the understanding of like, well, the people still have the choice of who they want. If they want somebody for 50 years, they should have that right, unfortunately. And I was in a conversation with my cousin today, who is probably more conservative than even I am. And he was advocating for term limits and the fact that he doesn't think that a third term of Donald Trump would be is something that should be ever done. And I was like, I sat there and I explained to him, I was like, but you have to understand, you when you're taking my right away to choose who I want to be representing me at every level, right? I mean, we should be able to choose even the judges at every single level, in my opinion, even the Supreme Court as well. That's just my opinion. Because I mean, they're our representatives too. They're supposed to be representing our Constitution from our stance of our freedoms and our rights based in it. So, but again, you can't sit here and tell me that that Congress and that these judges have lifetime appointments. Basically, I mean, the judges literally have a lifetime appointment, and the congressional members, it seems as though all they have to do is, have enough money to get reelected, and they have a lifetime appointment. And you can't sit here and tell me that the president doesn't have that same right. Like, if we want a president like Donald Trump to be in office several times, then it should be possible. The fact that, the original writing of Article 2 does not dictate whether or not there's a term limit. It says that the president shall serve a term of 4 years. It doesn't limit how many terms he can. And they talked about it in several of the writings of the founding fathers. Like, I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with having a set number of limits. And that's the problem, is that you have Congress out here making limitations on other branches while not having limitations on themselves. That's the
Yep.
biggest conundrum out of all of this.
Which is one of the main arguments that was brought up by the Anti-Federalists, which is why the Anti-Federalists pushed so hard to introduce the Bill of Rights, which was ratified in 1791.
Right. Absolutely. It's one of those things that's like, you can't sit here and tell me that we can't have unchecked power from the president, when in all reality, Congress has more power than both the executive and judicial branch combined, because they can outrule either one of them.
Well, I mean, when you have one branch of government that is essentially making more money than the president, I think there's an issue.
I mean, they have the purse, they have the law book, they have the ability to overrule the president even if the president vetoes something, right? Like, and I said this to my cousin when we were in discussion. I was like, thank God that we have such. I know this is going to be strange to a lot of people, because because the idea of what I'm about to say is kind of extreme. Thank God our Congress is as divided as they are today. And a lot of people are like, oh, whoa, that's terrible. We don't want a divided country. It's like, no, think about it for a second. If we had a majority consensus in Congress, they could say, F you, president, every single time he tried to veto something. And they could make the law of the land the way they wanted it. So it's like, you have this, my cousin brought up the fact, well, if they get too much power, it's like, that's the point. It'll never happen because of how divisive we are right now. And thank God for that, because y'all don't understand the level of power that Congress could have if they all had one mind, one accord, like the Bible says. Something he said, even in our conversation, is corruption. Absolute power is, what's that term where it says is a corrupt absolutely? You know what I'm talking about, Mike?
Absolute
Anyways.
power breeds absolute corruption.
Right. And that's essentially what would happen with Congress if they were the majority. I mean, all you need is 60% or 67%. So it's a very dangerous situation. Like, not understanding what's going on with the 22nd Amendment it should have never been put in place.
That's why I'm a very big advocate of looking at, really looking at 11 through 27 and diving down and, getting to the meat and potatoes of what they actually mean. And a lot of people, those are controversial topics. I mean, we've seen them on TikTok, how people just lose their minds every time I put that as a topic.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's because they don't really like to think of it critically. They think that, if it, they don't understand 11 through 20, what is it? 11 through 27 is, those are just giving more power to to Congress. If you actually read them, most of them, if not all of them, have some kind of wording that says at the end that, and the power therein shall reside in Congress. Every single one of them has some type of wording stating that. So it's like, regardless of what what that means, to put it in perspective for everybody, what that means is, if whatever just became before that sentence is null and void if Congress wants it to be.
100%. and it's really an irrelevant statement to make, right? Because when it comes to the Constitution, Congress does, in a sense, reserve the right to amend, but only if they have majority.
And honestly, I think it should be up to the people, not Congress.
So, and that's a difficult conversation. That's a very nuanced conversation when it comes to amending the Constitution. And I do agree with you, and I do respect the divisiveness in Congress because of the repercussions that could happen with a over centralized government.
Hmm. And
But
I mean, when it comes to like, so when it comes to these kind of situations, if they're proposing in a constitutional amendment, I believe that it should be voted on at the state level first,
mhm,
and then the representatives thereof should then respect the opinion of the people of their state. I mean, they're representing us, right? They're a voice for what we want. If there's a proposal to amend the Constitution, each state should have an individual voice, and they should not be allowed to deviate from what the people vote on, right? Like when you're talking about individual, like these senators and representatives, they can honestly vote any way that they want without any repercussion outside of being voted out, right? And that's the problem. They should be beholden to what we, the people of each state, and our state constitution say. But yet you have people. I mean, even you can see it even in the general elections, right? You've got, I believe, Nebraska and Maine. They're the only ones. Those are two states where the electoral votes, they don't have to go along with whatever the people of the state vote for, and I don't agree with that.
when it comes to like even amending the Constitution, like you still need ratification of at least 38 states for that
Right?
amendment to become law.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I understand that.
so yeah, so in a way, like the states do get um, that kind of authority of what you're explaining.
In a sense, yes, but at the same time, like what I just said, the
Should it start
representatives can go to
should it start at the ground level like you're explaining? I think it could.
absolutely, but like even if it did, like unless there's some kind of stipulation within the state constitution saying that the representative is required to abide by what they're saying. Like we would all have to have constitutional amendments in each state. And yes, each state has their own constitution for those that don't know,
Mhm.
right? A lot of them actually were prior to the US Constitution as we know it now. However, unless there's a change saying, "Hey, y'all can't go against what the people say, regardless of what your political affiliation is," then there's really no point because they could just be like, "Nah, I'm just do what I want."
Yeah. So I mean, the amendment process is wild. As far as the 22nd Amendment goes, I think the most realistic process for that third term is, like I said, a challenge to that amendment, and then the Supreme Court reviewing it, and then just wiping it.
Absolutely. But I
So
have heard a lot of people talking about that second one where
yeah,
I mean, that one is actually going all over social media right now.
yeah,
Left.
but I don't see it as feasible. I
I
see it as
mean, nobody just because it's not feasible doesn't mean it can't be done though, Mike. Nobody thought somebody could be a one-term president and then come back and win again. Not only did he win, but won all 7 swing states.
listen. I called that a while ago. I called that a
I
while ago.
understand that. I know yeah, this year, but like 4 years ago, 2020, 2021, 2022, nobody was talking about Donald Trump actually winning because we didn't even know if he was going to run again. It's the first
Well,
time in the history of America where somebody's been a one-term president and they come back after the term he lost and win it again in huge fashion.
yeah, he pulled a Grover Cleveland. Grover Cleveland was a president who served one term, got beat out by another one, and then served a second term.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought Trump was the first. I
Yep.
thought it, what?
Fun fact for the day.
I guess we're gonna have to check that because I don't think that's 100% right.
Okay. I'll show you. I'll show you. I'll show you in real time. Let's get to the next. Let's get to the next thing, and I'll bring it back up.
I think there's a nuance on it, but we'll look at that later. We'll come back on next week and we'll have that debate. Yes, me and Mike do not agree on everything, guys. Just so y'all know.
22nd
But
and 24th president.
24th. Okay. All right.
Neener,
What?
neener.
Hey, Mike is 1 for 100 against me now.
You shush. You let me relish in this win.
No, I thought there was a president, and because I didn't know about that. I thought there was a president that served a term, and there was like he got booted out, and there was some kind of nuance or something when he was trying to run for election again, but then didn't win or something. I don't know.
I'd have to look
So
at that.
yeah, we'll have to look at that together. But anyways, I mean, moving into a different direction though, you got a lot of these Democrats going absolutely crazy outside their mind nowadays, right? Like everybody's heard about the absolute domestic terrorism of Tesla. Like I've never seen a group of people get so mad at a car manufacturing company.
Ooh, can I insert something real quick?
Yeah.
Listen, it is Trans Visibility Day, and this is a message to all you Democrats. If you want to protect your Tesla, I want you to take the Tesla brand off and then replace it with a Toyota or a Honda brand. That way, you now have a trans vehicle, and they have to honor that. It is Trans
Mm.
Visibility Day, and you want to protect your vehicle.
Stupid. But honestly, in all reality, like I know that they show hypocrisy on all forms. So even if you did that and you did do that and you said that to them, they still wouldn't honor it because they don't even know how to follow their own rules. Honestly. Anyways, talking about outside your mind, you got congressional members out here talking sideways again. Jasmine Crockett, the absolute nutcase of a representative here out of Dallas,
I
Texas.
love
That
her.
just, oh my god, I can't stand her, man.
I love her. I love it when our Congress members that are lawyers are idiots.
I mean, she's intentionally either just plain dumb, which I refuse to believe, because she has her doctorate in a judicial doctorate, right? Like she's a lawyer, for God's sakes. Like you can't be stupid and do that, right?
No.
You could be street stupid, but I mean she ain't book stupid. Let's put it that
She
way.
was raised in white suburbia.
This is true. This is true. But she represents some of the ghetto of Dallas, which I mean, it's just funny. Anyways, it's I can't stand her, guys. Like, just the most representation out there. Like for me, I would not want to be represented by her. Just the way she talks and walks and it's just not professional at all. Don't get me wrong. Like there's times where you have to like defeat the status quo of Congress and being professional manner. But not in the way she does it, honestly. And people are like, oh, you're just racist. Like, no, I grew up in Flint, Michigan, right? 90% black people, like her race has nothing to do with it. It's her attitude. It's the way she carries herself, which is fake all in itself because Mike just said, she grew up in suburban America. She act like she from the streets. Like, stop it, chick. I know white people that are more ghetto than you, but she be acting like it. I can't stand it.
She's an ableist.
I mean, she's out here catching charges now almost, it seems like, from Laura Loomer because she's out here attacking reporters, physically assaulting them. But go ahead.
She just called your governor something.
You know what? I can't even, so all right. I can't be a hypocrite on this. I really can't because I have too. I've called him that too. Okay. So I'm not, and there are plenty of people here in Texas on the Republican Party that call her that too. So any Republican that's here in Texas and is going crazy.
If Greg wanted to be awesome, if Greg Abbott wanted to be awesome, the next speech he would give, he'd come out to Chameleon Air riding dirty.
I mean, look, a lot of people had questions about Abbott from back in 2020, but he has really stood on business. He hasn't followed through on everything, but when it comes to like the border protection, protecting Texas from the U.S. government and the Biden regime, fully on board with him. He gained my vote back in 2022 when he re-ran for governor.
Mhm.
Definitely hands down won my vote because of what he did through 20 and 22.
Oh,
He
yeah.
lost me a little bit on the COVID thing, but then he came back, fought back, and the whole border thing, that's where he wanted me back. Now, there's some questions about his policies and whether or not he's following through on his promises in regards to property tax and all that other stuff. That's here to be said. However, the Republicans here in Texas are kind of being a little bit of hypocritical about this. And I'm going to say why. Because I know a lot of Democrats, or I mean, Republicans here in the state of Texas that has called him that themselves. It's a very well-known terminology, and she probably got it from one of the Texas representatives, honestly, because we say it a lot here. I know, like back when people were against Abbott in the Republican Party back in 2020, 21, until he started doing better, that's what they were referring to him as. So if you're sitting here going at Jasmine Crockett about the whole Hot Wheels things, like, yeah, it's very derogatory. It's an ableist comment for sure. For sure. But y'all
Well,
did it too. Stop it.
I would say it's worse to be on the opposite side and say it.
No, you can't sit here, Mike. You know me. You can't
No, no, no,
sit
no, no,
here.
no. I'll call out I'll call out both sides.
But the thing
But
is
for
you
her
got
platform, for
Republican.
her plat for her platform to be on this, be the party of anti-discrimination, be the party of
And I see it from that aspect. I do. Don't get me wrong. Like I see it from, but at the same time, that's why I say I reserve judgment on this whole thing, honestly,
Mhm.
because you got Republicans out here that were calling them the same thing. Like
Yeah.
you can't sit here and be like, "Look, you're going against your own party lines." And be like, "Bro, you literally said it too." Like, what? I
I
mean, you're
think
literally calling her out for being a hypocrite while being a hypocrite. It's like,
like I said, I love calling out Republicans. You give me a list, I'll call out every single one of them. Because when you're occupying that role in government, there's a decorum that you must embody.
right. But to your point, like you said, they're the side that's supposed to be against ableism and against, making derogatory comments and then against violence, right? They're supposed to be the party of peace and inclusion and all this other stuff. And then she said that, which is this is my only contention with it. Like I don't care that she called him Hot Wheels. It's in the manner that she did and then followed it up with this.
Never endorse political violence.
Huh? Ma'am, first of all, is this you?
You okay with punching? Like, it's Ted Cruz. I mean, like, this dude has to be knocked over the head, like, hard. On March 29th, it's my birthday. And all I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down. Yes.
And then you said Democrats, right? That means your whole party. Let's take a look back at just some of the comments.
Throw a punch. You have to be ready to throw a punch.
Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
Feel like punching him.
I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school. If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him. No, I wish we were in high school, I could take him behind the gym.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Take him out now.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Cuomo?
Well, it literally says peaceably.
The First Amendment. But anyways, let's finish. This is kind of good at the end.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Please, get up in the face of some Congress people.
That was the Democrat House Majority Leader, Cory Booker, FYI.
People will do what they do.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
And that's the Senate Minority Leader for the Democrats.
We're going to go in there, we're going to impeach the
Well, this is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. And for those of you who are soldiers, make them pay.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be?
This y'all girl, right? This was y'all girl.
One of us have to come out alive.
Jasmine, you might want to rephrase that.
You know, speaking of Democrats calling for violence, I remember Tim Walz just recently in the merry month of May, saying that he could kick majority of Republican asses. I'll take you on right now.
I mean, I do it with one arm.
I will take on that fake ass sergeant major any day.
All you have to do is run in a circle and you get tired out, honestly. I mean, that boy heavy. He heavy. And he's like 70 something, or no, he's not. He just looks 70 something, but he's actually like 60.
Well, it's 2025. I'll identify as the same age, so it's not elder abuse.
I mean, look, I believe in equality. I don't care if you old, young, woman, man, everybody's got equal rights and lefts.
To caveat on what I just said, you remember the wrestler Kane?
Yeah.
Who's now a mayor?
Yes. Is he still?
He called him out. He said, "Let's do a wrestling match for charity."
Ooh. Oh my God. Just so y'all know, Kane, I can't remember his real name, but yeah, the boy's 7 foot tall, 300 some pounds. You ain't winning that one, bruh. Just saying. But going even further into this, man, like the whole Tesla situation, they're literally blowing up cars, keying cars, just spitting on people just for owning, regardless of whether or not they actually are Democrats or not. Like, I've seen it to where there's videos of them spitting and attacking people in Teslas that are Democrats, and they're sitting there, I don't just like, what is wrong with y'all?
I want to go rent a Tesla and drive it around just so I can get some interaction.
Oh, please. I'm always on it. I mean, it seems like this reckless behavior is just spewing into other areas. It all started with the calls for the assassination on the president, right? Like we've seen that from the Democrats.
Are any of these attacks happening in states like Arizona or Texas?
I doubt it here in Texas.
Because our states are very Second Amendment friendly.
Just saying. I mean, I see Teslas all the time here because I mean Tesla's here in Houston area now, so like their headquarters and whatnot is in Austin, I believe, but they make a lot of them here in Texas. So I see Teslas all the time, but I don't see the problem like here. I wonder why that is.
The majority of the doctors where I work drive Teslas. I don't see no problems.
And I mean, and like I say, it all started with this, like, and this goes back to even what Jasmine Crock was saying, like, who's the one that's been calling for the assassination of a former and now sitting president over the last 2 years, basically, right? But then it stemmed into the whole Tesla thing. Now it's starting to go into ICE, right? And the whole deportation area. Like, you got this individual saying these comments on social media. Take a look at this.
ICE agents on site. That's right. If ICE agents are trying to take you or a loved one, shoot them on sight. The way they're pulling up, with masks on, with unmarked vehicles, no badge, no nothing, it could be anybody. It can be gang members. You have every right to shoot at them. This would be the best self-defense case. You're just in fear for your life. You don't know who's behind that unmarked vehicle or who's behind that mask. This is ridiculous. What is our country coming to?
Yeah, well, we're going to stop it right there just because don't do this, okay? If you're watching it, don't do this. This is a good way to end up on a t-shirt that said he was such a good boy.
Well, not to mention, it's idiotic. Like,
well, I mean, he claims that that is self-defense. Now, I can understand.
Let's look at it from a self-defense aspect. He says, If ICE agents roll up on you, shoot them because this is your perfect legal defense. How do you know they're ICE agents?
Well, I think that's his intent. Is like you don't know who these people are. However, ICE agents, any federal agent carries a badge because he even said in this, they don't have their badge. Every single video, because the one he talks about in this video is about that lady that wrote the article and she was surrounded and taken into custody because of some kind of article. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but he mentioned that in his video. And in that, in the video of we can see clear as day that they're ICE agents. They all have their badge on in front of them. They were all tucked at first because that's how they operate. And they took it out and presented themselves as ICE agents, right? Federal agents that are there to do their job. The thing is you might have a self-defense claim for anybody else. However, if somebody comes up to you and says, I'm a federal agent, with several other people that are claiming to be federal agents and have a badge and verifiable identification to prove that they're federal agents, then you're committing a felony. You will go to prison if you don't end up on a t-shirt.
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't understand that reference, that means they're going to kill you if you start to shoot at them.
So I know I said Fox was talking about it when we were offline, but it was actually the New York Post. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem actually shared a thread of this video and vowed that actions would be taken against the person who posted the video. If you threaten or attempt to harm a law enforcement officer, we will fine you and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. They already found this individual. He lives in Michigan. He's a real estate agent.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's why he deleted his account real quick. Real quick. It's like, I've got people, because I made a video. It's getting a little bit of a traction on it on social media. And I've got people posting his workplace, his phone number, his legal name, all this other stuff in my comments. And look, if your information is out there, bro, and you're going to use your name in your username, that's not doxing. You used your legal name in your name. You're dummy. You're dumb. But, I mean, at the same time, people could find you anyways and report you, even if you aren't using your legal name. But, I mean, at least don't make it easy for them when you're trying to threaten federal agents. Like, for God's sakes. I mean, this is a gentleman that's out of Dearborn area, Warren, Michigan, which is down by Detroit, for those that aren't aware. And he works. I'm not going to put out his information because, I mean, it is all public now because it's out there. But he does work for a realty company on Mound Road in Warren, Michigan.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Probably not anymore. after all this. But yeah,
that dude is getting fined heavily. Oh, I can't. I made a video on this.
Time for that.
I made a video on this, and I cited the specific Title 18 code that this dude just violated, and threatening a federal officer or it essentially runs along the same lines as committing an actual assault. So this dude is doing time.
He done. Don't be stupid on the internet is the moral of the story. But since we're on the whole immigration issue, Mike, I don't know if you're aware, but over the weekend, Doge went to Wisconsin, right? And they had that town hall. It started with the whole Wisconsin Supreme Court advocating for Brad Schmigel and all that, but it divulged into a whole nuance of of new information coming out about what Doge has been finding. More particularly in the area of illegal immigrants and the Social Security scam that's been being ran with this whole situation. And they put up a chart. I don't know if you saw this yet, Mike, but this is the chart that they put out. Now, for those that don't know, this is Antonio Garcias. He's the lead individual for Doge right now. And if you want to try and make this out to be some kind of political thing, he is a descendant from first-generation immigrants from Spain. So this isn't left versus right thing. It's just, you're just trying to attack the immigrants, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, this dude is literally an immigrant himself. Okay? His parents immigrated here from Spain. He had to get citizenship himself. I mean, these are two immigrants on the screen we're looking at, guys. Like, hold up. Like, this just hit me. Like, and people are freaking out about this. The left, right? because it shows what this shows, just real quick. It shows that new non-citizen Social Security numbers being issued. Back in 2021, it was just around 270,000, right? That skyrocketed up to in 2024 to 2.1 million new.
Imagine why.
Oh, well, we know why. We absolutely know why, and that has to do with the information that was coming out of Homeland Security and FEMA, where they were funding these individuals. They were providing this information.
And if you have a Social Security number and a driver's license, what can you do?
You can also register to vote, which is what they did also that he confirmed in this meeting. And they said that a large majority of them, out of the 2.1 million, were registered vote. And they confirmed that they did vote in the last election. And yet they still,
but it's not widespread, Nate. It's not widespread.
But to prove my point, because a lot of people keep saying there's no documentation, there's nothing in regards to money going to these immigrants, and be like, yes, there is. If you all would just wake up, go to Homeland Security. They literally have whole articles on how they're delegating. Department of Homeland Security announces $380 million in additional. So this article is actually newer than this is an added money that from what they've already done for funding communities of receiving migrants. Right? They like to use the nice words because this is under. And just so you know, this article is from Biden's administration.
Same thing.
Whatever. Here's another one directly from FEMA website where they talk about down here is $650 million for the shelter and services programs that specifically goes to non-citizens. And they quite literally say it in here, guys. I know it's kind of small, but you all can go just type in shelter and services program and FEMA. This article will come right up. Right here at the bottom, I know y'all can't really see it. It quite literally says the activities to provide shelter and related activities to non-citizen migrants following their release from the Department of Homeland Security. So you cannot sit here and tell me that Social Security funding, because that's where they get their funding from, is not paying for these individuals that do not contribute to it. And y'all wonder why Social Security is threatened to be gone in the next 5 to 10 years. It's because they keep pissing it away.
Ridiculous. But it's not widespread.
It's not widespread. No. We don't want to put any false information on YouTube. I mean, Jesus, well, God forbid we get demonetized for telling the fucking truth.
Well, demonetized? We're not even monetized yet.
Whatever. Anyways. It's just, I can't stand the fact that we could show these people over and over again information. Like today, I just had a longtime family friend of mine come at me in my DMs, and you saw my post about it, right? Come at me about some stupid case in regards to the Silk Road. Have you heard about it, Mike?
No.
Okay, so back in 2013, a gentleman by the name of Robert Albright, he created a website on the dark web, right? And it was supposed to be originally for funding or a way for people to purchase things openly and then also have discussions and decorum and a bunch of other stuff without any kind of tracking to it right now. However, I'm sorry?
Is that young kid?
Yeah, he was only like 29 years old.
Yeah, okay.
He was just recently pardoned by Trump. But the problem with this case is that back at that time, he admitted he was a part of the creation of it, but he wasn't the sole individual. And there was actually other people that were admins of it and be able to create different avenues on it, right? Which eventually led to large drug moving and things of that nature. But there's so many things wrong with this case and how it was done and his sentencing. Oh my God, wait until I hear that. So I told this person that sent me a video of that one guy on TikTok, Mike, that go at the end of every one of his videos, he's like, so you're telling me this? And I was like, okay, gotcha. I don't know if you can. You remember that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's just one of them dummies that spew off nonsense. And he's sitting out here trying to make it out to be like this 29-year-old individual was one of the world's largest drug cartels. But when you actually look at it, the prosecution illegally withheld evidence of DEA agents manifest in the investigation of the Silk Road, which 2 of the agents were convicted of wire fraud in regards to it. They had no warrant to obtain their laptop information from him, and had no probable cause, which violates his Fourth Amendment. So in the proceedings, it came out that during this whole situation, the DEA agents made some kind of ruckus to distract him because they didn't want him to blow up his computer, because he was, he's a really smart guy. I think he was like a physicist or something. Like he had his doctorate degree in something. Like stupid smart dude, right? I mean, created a whole dark web website. I mean, who knows how to do that, honestly? But
not me. I could barely use this thing.
Right. But I mean, the thing about it is they didn't have a warrant for his laptop, right? They couldn't connect him to any of the drug situation on it, right? And there was a whole situation of murder for hire on the dark web site as well. However, they couldn't link any of it to him. And plus the conviction process and how they did it, and the actual sentence, they gave him 2 life sentences plus 40 years for basically what they claimed was drug smuggling. Because they couldn't pin the murder for hire on him because they had no evidence, but they didn't have any evidence of him being. All they had evidence of him was the fact that he created dark web, which can be illegal, which he's served 10 years. And I go back and forth with this individual, telling them all of the information about this case, right, and how it's just wrong. It violates his 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th Amendment, and they laughed at me. They literally laughed at me. I mean, you can see the little laughing emojis, right? And I was like, I guess you can laugh at being led by the blind. That's cool. And we went back and forth. Well, eventually they got to the point where this individual started mentioning my children. Hell no. That's when Flint Nate came out. Because I was like, I don't give a damn how long you've known me. Don't you dare ever, just because you came at me, one of the most learned, researched, and read people and I can promise you that. And I was able to provide documentation and historical events to disprove the nonsense that you're trying to push because you're an anti-Trumper and you got TDS. Don't you dare mention my children. And I say you could.
It's wild.
I say you could block me and move on. I don't care who you are.
It's wild. I mean, the situation between me and a family member of mine, and this individual is like super pro-Palestine, believes Hamas are freedom fighters, and I'm not the one to start the conversation on this because
Wow.
And he also believes that the Jews are behind everything. The Jews are embedded in the government. The Jews are behind Hollywood, and
look, don't get me wrong. I do believe some of that is there's truth behind it, but to the extreme that these people are talking about, absolutely not. It's conspiracy.
But it's like people that take this approach honestly have no concept of the history behind the Palestinians, who are Arabs, who have no real claim to the land. People just need to do their research as far as history goes, because you don't even have to go to the Bible. You have archaeological, documented secular research that you can cite that parallels to the Bible. Just saying.
I wonder why.
But it's like these people and he used to be a Trumper. Now he's not, because Trump's a big supporter of Israel. Israel has had our back since 1948.
Which almost everybody, no matter whether they're Democrat or Republican, almost every single person in Congress is also a supporter of, because they do. I mean, this is where a conspiracy part of me comes out, and it's not conspiracy. a lot of Israel-backed funding it pays for both sides. I mean, does Israel have a big foothold in our politics? Yeah, but they're our allies. So do other allies.
Well, it has
Do
to
I
do-
think that the Jews rule the earth? And no, this is just stupid.
Well, then he starts going on. This is where this dude gets wild. He starts saying that the Holocaust wasn't that the people that lost their lives in the Holocaust. It was exaggerated.
I want to punch those kind of people. Literally, if they say that to me to my face, I will literally hit them. I will catch charges over that level of stupidity.
And
We
I'm just,
have the bones.
it's like,
What like
bro,
people
this
just
this isn't an event that happened in in 1600s. This was less than 100 years ago.
I'll
what
never
year are we
understand those
in?
people.
What year are we in? This is less than like 80 years ago.
And I mean, even Argentina, right? There's some Argentina, that one guy, I can't ever pronounce his name, but he's basically the Trump of Argentina. He just came out with documentation about how Hitler actually was there in Argentina and stuff. Like, I'm gonna be diving into that this week.
That dude's awesome.
I love him.
That Argentina,
he's the Hispanic Trump.
He just said, "Away with everything."
Oh, I love it. Fuele, fuele.
We should make a video on. You should make a video on TikTok and edit it to where that dude's it's Trump, but he's saying the line. He's just destroying.
You're out of there. I can't do a Trump impression.
I can't. No, my voice is too damn deep.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But oh man, so this next week is gonna be fun, right? This Saturday is supposed to be the whole nationwide protest of Tesla, right? Because they haven't whined enough yet overall the whole situation.
Well, this whole nationwide protest, everybody's gonna go home at 12 because that's that's when their payments stop.
I mean, y'all do realize the first is tomorrow. Y'all gonna have your paychecks by then. Don't worry about it, you bums. Go to work. Golly.
Is this going to be another one of those Al Sharpton protests? Buy all your shit.
And I believe so. Besides that, I believe also the USMCA is coming to an end on April 4th. So we'll definitely be seeing some nuances throughout the week and probably in the next week about how there's might or may not be a new deal between us. So that'll be interesting to watch, definitely. And then obviously anybody that's on social media knows that the deadline for TikTok is also coming up on Saturday. So pretty big events coming up.
There's already been Donald Trump's already came out and said there's a proposed buyer, and it should be bought before the 5th, but if not, he's going to extend it anyway.
Right, he's going to extend it to May 5th because they're what he's trying to do is actually work in, because China is reluctant to sell the U.S.-based operations of TikTok, right? Because they want to control everything. And he's proposing within this deal to China, which is kind of, I don't know if there's any, like, if it's actually going to happen, but there's definitely been talks about it from verified sources that he's going to possibly eliminate some tariffs to be included into this deal if they sell it.
Which would be great, because this would be a big investment. That, like, TikTok has produced some of the biggest content creators, either left or right, and center.
Right.
I mean, had it not been for the censorship.
There is one cool thing that TikTok did come out with was that live chat, right? Now we don't have to worry about the stupid automated responses. They actually have individuals we could talk to now. So that's nice. But if you're not on social media, you probably have no idea what we're talking about.
Probably
But
not.
just know that us out here that are on the conservative side of things are trying to fight a completely different enemy than what y'all know in Congress and whatnot in the government. There's a whole nother side of this war that y'all ain't even seen. It's digital, which is where the future is. So we're digital warriors out here, is like I would like to say. So, but anyways, thank y'all for coming in. Mike, take us home.
Thank you for tuning in to America's greatest podcast. Be sure to follow myself, Professor Mike, and Natebige on our individual platforms, as well as the Legislative Lounge on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, and Patreon. And have a blessed day.